Hey all, welcome back to Triple Goddess Soapery. My name is Angela, and today we are going to do a complete walkthrough of how I make my body butters. Now, I have updated this formula, which is part of the reason that I want to do this, and part of the reason I wanted to update my formula was because a lot of people ask about SPF. So I wanted to see if I could create something that has SPF in it. So I did a lot of research. Now, if you're a small home-based business and you decide that you want to make SPF products, great. Sounds wonderful. Sounds like there'd be like a really, really great market for that. But sunscreens are regulated products and they fall under the category of drugs. To make and sell products that contain SPF, you need to be lab tested and get licensing and approval in Canada and the US, as well as a lot of other countries. This is not only practically impossible to do in a home lab and get precise results every time, it's also very costly. So most small makers, I want to hazard to say all small makers, are just not making SPF products that have been lab tested and approved. It's just not safe. Just imagine that if you create a product and you slap an SPF 15 on it and you sell it to a customer, and then they go out, slather it all over themselves, and end up with a bad sunburn because your product didn't protect them. That's just, it's dangerous, it's not safe, and it's reckless. And it's also opening yourself up to a really big liability with a lawsuit. So, moral of the story is home-based makers, small labs, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to make SPF products. And I don't recommend it. That being said, I did do a lot of research trying to figure out if there are ways that I can add SPF to my products naturally, even if I can't market them that way. And I did find out that there are some oils, butters, and waxes that do provide a natural SPF, and some of them are quite high. Now, keep in mind that a lot of lip butters, you're going to be using, say, 30-30-30 wax, oil, butter. If the oil is the thing that has the most SPF, you're still only going to have SPF really in that 1/3. The rest of it is going to be minimal. And I will put up on the screen over here somewhere a breakdown of percentages and how the math works. Now, my particular formula that I reformulated has an SPF of about 10. So that's not going to, set any records or anything, but it is some SPF, and that makes me happy and I'm comfortable with that. And again, nowhere on my products am I marketing them as having SPF. So that being said, the research that I did, it was really hard to find scientific studies and peer-reviewed research papers on the SPF of different butters and oils. But I did find some, and I did mix and match and try and, cross-reference the information. And what I came up with is that carrot seed oil is 38 to 40 SPF, raspberry seed oil is 28 to 50 SPF, wheat germ is 20, olive oil 7.5, avocado is 4 to 15, which is a really big range, which leads me to believe I'm not sure which end that I'm going to go with that, but it's probably going to be the lower end is what I would trust. We have almond at 5, macadamia at 6, coconut oil at 2 to 8, jojoba at 4. Then we have butters. We have shea butter 3 to 6, mango butter at 4, and beeswax at 3. Those are the only oils and butters that I could find numbers for that I felt were somewhat accurate. Otherwise, I really couldn't find any other information. Like I said, I don't know. I just couldn't find good scientific data, and I'm not about to just spew numbers from crunchy mommy blogs at you because that's just not my style. So that's where I'm at. I did reformulate, like I said, to have an SPF of about 10. It didn't increase my cost exponentially per body butter, or sorry, lip butter. How many times have I said body butter in this video? I apologize. And yeah, I came up with something that I really like. I have a detailed blog post to go with this video over on Patreon with the breakdown of all the percentages and detailed instructions, as well as my discussion on the different levels of SPF and the do's and don'ts for lip butters and SPF. So if you want to check that out, you can head over to Patreon. If you're looking for a free recipe, which this is not, I highly recommend Marie's blog, Humblebee and Me. She's also on YouTube. And she is a wonderful resource, and she explains things wonderfully, and she has tons and tons of free formulas and recipes over there. So go check her out. And in the meantime, we will be right back to do a complete walkthrough of how I make body butter, right from measuring the ingredients all the way through to the final packaging. So stay tuned for that. Hey all, so we're going to get right into it. Now I will try and link below all of the materials and things that I'm using so that you can find them. What you're going to need is you're going to need your lip balm tubes, and you're going to need your raw ingredients. If you are like me and you're very spilly, a lip balm flood tray is going to be your best friend. Now, I have tried trays from all of the major suppliers in Canada, and the one from New Directions Aromatics is the only one that fits lip balm tubes, and it's super frustrating. So I will link this tray below. It fits the Windy Point tubes, it fits the Voyager tubes, and it fits tubes from Amazon. That's been my experience. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your tubes, you're going to take your caps off the top, and you're just going to snap them into place. This tray holds 50, and basically what I do is I do very small batches. I do batches that are usually between 12 and 24 at a time. So that's what I do, and I just use the tray just like you saw. Now, once you get your tubes ready, then you're going to disinfect everything. So what I do is I wash all of my stuff in hot soapy water, and I let it dry, and then I spray it all with 70% rubbing alcohol, and then I just let it air dry to sanitize. And I do that with my counter, my scale, with absolutely everything. All right, so we're just going to start measuring our ingredients. We have our mango butter first, and we're just going to measure that out. I get my mango butter from Windy Point Soaps or Voyager Soap and Candle. Those are actually the two places I buy most of my ingredients from. Next, we have the beeswax, and we're just going to measure that into our container. And easy peasy. Beeswax is very easy to measure out. This is the star of the show, the raspberry seed oil. We have our beeswax and our mango butter in there already. Raspberry seed oil is very expensive, but even so, it does not raise the price of each tube by very much. There's still a really nice profit margin built in there. Next, we have some jojoba oil, which is actually a wax, and it's very close to our body's own sebum. So that's why I use that. Then we're just finishing off with some castor oil, which is super hydrating, and it's just going to help with the staying power of the lip balm on your lips. And all I do is I just go very old school. I have a hot plate and a water bath, and I'm just going to let this all heat through. And it takes it probably 30 minutes to do this. I mean, it does take some time. And it would be faster if the water bath was deeper and was up higher on the side of the container, but it's no big deal. I had time. So once it all melts through here in a second, we're just going to use our laser thermometer, and we're just going to check the temperature and see where we're at, because the cool down ingredients are basically just our flavor oil and the vitamin E, and we don't want to be too hot for that because we don't want to damage it. So here we are at about 164 Fahrenheit, and I believe I switch it over to Celsius at some point too and check what that is. Do you need to speak to a manager? Huh? You were just complaining. Yeah? Do you have a problem? Are you not getting attention? Yeah? Meow? Can you leave my soap studio now, please? No, you're not allowed in here. You know that. Alrighty. So now that everything's all melted through, we're just gonna measure out for our 3 different batches, technically 4, and be good to go. So we're going to start with the blue raspberry flavor oil from Voyager Soap and Candle. And I really like these. They actually give you little squirt tops to go with each of the bottles, so it makes it really easy to measure out. You don't have to worry about overpouring. As far as I know, Voyager's the only one that's given me these little caps, and I think it's really cool. And we're just going to stir it in. Now, I highly recommend to make sure that you don't have to worry about any separation. You stir for a constant 2 minutes to make sure that the oils bond with the flavor. Also, too, when you're working with any kind of wax, a heat gun is going to be your best friend. If you don't have one, you can buy one cheap on Amazon. If things seem to be thickening up or sticking to the side, you can just shoot it with the heat gun for a second and it'll melt all back down, and it's just really great. It's going to make things so much easier for you, and you're not going to have nearly as much waste. So that's a hot tip. We're just going to get our vitamin E in there, which my bottle's almost empty. And what I'm stirring with is just a glass rod that I bought on Amazon. These little glass beakers also came from Amazon. I think I got a package of 12 of these 100 ml ones, and I have some larger ones as well. So now the glass is going to be hot, especially if you're using your heat gun. So be careful. And we're just going to fill up each tube. And because we have the flood tray, we don't have to be too careful about spilling. But obviously, we don't want to make a big mess. And we're going to top them all up, and then we're going to use the heat gun so that we can melt down what's hardened inside the jar and finish pouring. Like I said, heat gun, 100% worth getting one if you don't have one already. And I apologize if you can hear background noise. The washer and the dryer is going, the cat's watching cat TV in the next room. Okay, now once they harden up, if you want to have a nice smooth top and like get rid of all those little divots and stuff, again, the heat gun is amazing. Just blast the tops with the heat gun so that it warms up and they just even out. You're going to get nice, beautiful flat tops this way. And I forgot to record it. I didn't hit record, so we're going to pretend to scrape it off. So then you're going to use a tool. You can use a pastry scraper. You can use one of these little spatula things if it came with your tray. And you're just going to scrape off the top. And you can melt it down to make more tubes. I personally didn't. There wasn't a lot of waste and I just couldn't be bothered, so I just threw away the excess. And then if you're a bit of a perfectionist like me, you're going to hit it with the heat gun again just to smooth those tops out perfectly. Now, it doesn't take very long for these to harden up. So once you're ready, you can just flip the tray over and you can pull each one off. And you can see the top is a little messed up there. So you can use your little doodad here, and you can scrape the top of each one and just make it smooth. I don't do this with all of them, but if the top gets a little messed up from me pulling it out, then I do scrape off the top and make it nice and flat and pretty. And you can see this one looks all right. The top isn't any wonky or anything, so we're just going to put the cover on carefully and we're good to go. Overall, it's a really fast process to make lip balm, and I highly recommend that if you don't make lip balm, that you give it a try. Not only just for your own personal use, but for resale, because it is a very cost-effective item to make. And people like their lip balm. I have one in every room in the house, in my purse, in my office, at work, everywhere. And yeah, that one was a little wonky, so we're just going to scrape that one off. And basically what I do is I have 3 different containers for the 3 different fragrances or flavors, and I just have my little bottle of fragrance oil or flavor oil in each of the container. That way I can keep everything straight until I label them, because you don't want to mislabel them. You don't want people picking up a spearmint and it's actually a blue raspberry. So we're going to carry on with this, just putting all the caps on, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now, to clean this, again, what did I say? Heat gun is your best friend. All I do to clean this is I run the heat gun over the tray, and I wipe off all of the excess wax that gets melted from the heat gun. And once I give it a good scrub with a piece of paper towel, I'm just going to hose it down with some of my 70% rubbing alcohol. 70% rubbing alcohol does such a great job of breaking through grease, especially like when you're making soap, when you're doing anything like this that's greasy. It's really going to cut through that grease and clean it up and make everything squeaky clean. So I use it for everything. I just buy the 99% rubbing alcohol at Costco and I dilute it to 70%, and that's what I use to do all my cleaning in my soap studio. So yeah, so it makes it easy for next time. All right, we have our labels printed, and I have labels for each of the 4 different lip balms that I've made. And we're just going to put the labels on. Now, the first thing we're going to do is take some 99% rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. We're going to spray it on our cloth, and then we're going to clean each tube. This is going to clean off any stray grease, wax, or anything that might be on the tube that's going to make the label not stick properly to the tube. It's a little tedious, but it's definitely worthwhile, and it helps you with quality control, just checking to make sure that the caps are all on tight and all that jazz. So highly recommend taking out the extra couple minutes to get that done. I will also link this label ledge thing that I'm using here down below. I bought this on Etsy, and it just helps get the labels on straight. Now, I am pretty good about putting my labels on fairly straight, but some of them are still crooked. So all you do is you stick your label on the ledge like that so that it's straight. Just hold it down with your finger for a second, it'll stick. Then you're going to line up your tube underneath so that the opening for the cap and the little tab there is lined up. Doesn't have to be perfect. And you're just going to put your label on. I get a lot, this is actually the very first time I've used this. And I do get faster and a lot more efficient with it. And we're going to see, there we go, we're in focus now. But yeah, see, it's pretty straight, it looks pretty good. Got all the information that I need on the label. And there we go, we have labeled our tube. We only have another 50 some odd to go. And there we go, we are in focus again. But yeah, you can see here, it's quite quick to do this. And it's just nice to have the label on straight and not have it all crooked and stuff. I don't know. Presentation is key, right? And I did get a lot faster with this quite quickly, so I'm sure you will too. And they do sell multiple sizes of this little label ledge thing. I don't remember what it's called. It's not called a label ledge, I don't think, but I'll link it below. And there's one more step after this that I will show you in a second, and I just feel like it really adds that final professional touch to the lip butters. And you can choose to do it or not, it's entirely up to you. But I picked these up on Amazon, but you can find them with all the soap suppliers too. It's just shrink wrap bands for your lip balms. And although the tubes do have the little paper tabs so that you can tell they haven't been messed with, I like these. You can see they're perforated at the top for around the tube, and they're also perforated down the side. And you just slide your lip bulb tube into it, and then you use your heat gun to heat it up and shrink it on. It's really simple, very easy to use. Again, a little bit tedious, but I really like the professional look that it gives the lip butters, which is why I do it. And also too, some labels don't really stick that well to your lip tubes, and then they tend to kind of peel up on the edges, and this just keeps that from happening. It's a really nice finishing touch to the lip butter and makes the labels look professional. So that's what I do. So we're just going to hit them with the heat gun next, and I do put something on each end because they will roll around and they're going to try and run away. So all I'm doing is running the heat gun over, and we're done. That's basically it. Now, if you've made it this far, I'm proud. Congratulations. And I'd like to also take a moment to thank you for watching this video. And if you liked it, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, thank you to my patrons, which I will put on the screen down below. I really do appreciate you. I appreciate you supporting me and believing in me enough to take your hard-earned money and support me the way that you do. So thank you very much. And here we are. We are all done. The lip balms are all complete. They're beautiful. They're in their shiny packaging, and we're ready to go put them on the website for sale this weekend at the market. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you want this exact formula and all the measurements, go check out Patreon. And in the meantime, I will be back soon.